I exposed my stepsister for stealing my fiancé. Now her marriage is over. He cheated on me with her and they got married behind my back, until I told the whole family the truth. I exposed my stepsister for stealing my fiancé. Now her marriage is over, and my parents aren't speaking to me. I'm 27, got married 2 weeks ago, and planned my entire wedding myself. Guests couldn't stop raving about how beautiful and perfect everything was, which felt amazing to hear. My stepsister, 26, couldn't handle it and started telling everyone I stole her ideas. She's always been jealous of me, so it didn't surprise me, but it really upset me. Some relatives even asked if it was true that I took her ideas, which was totally unfair since I absolutely didn't. She's been making up stories about me for years to make herself look better, and I'm fed up with it. When I was 16, my mom remarried, and since then, my stepsister and I have never gotten along. I tried to befriend her at first, but she never wanted that and turned everything into a competition, which drove me nuts. Once, in high school, she spread a rumor that I flirted with her boyfriend after I made the cheerleading team. For almost a month, most of the girls avoided me and laughed at me, except for a few friends. That's the kind of person she is. I put up with her antics for a long time, knowing she only did it to get under my skin. If I reacted, she'd win. But with my wedding, I couldn't just let it slide. I spent weeks planning to make it perfect, and she had no right to come in and slander me after all my hard work. Sure, it's petty, but when I found out she was telling everyone I stole her ideas, I called her. I told her to stop lying, but she laughed in my face, called me a sensitive loser, and hung up. So I decided to expose her and her husband in front of our whole family. For context, her current husband, 30, used to be my boyfriend when I was 23. Back then, I lived with my parents and stepsister while saving up to move out. We met at work, and I fell for him almost instantly. But he insisted our relationship stay a secret and wouldn't let me tell friends outside of work about him. Honestly, that should have been a red flag. After 2 months, I brought him home to meet my parents, and naturally, my stepsister. I didn't notice it then, but she was overly flirty and sweet with him. I never imagined he'd cheat on me with her. That's probably when they started texting behind my back, while I, clueless about their affair, kept dating him and falling deeper in love. After almost a year, I decided I wanted to marry him, and proposed. Yes, it was unconventional, but I loved him so much I couldn't wait for him to pop the question. I took the lead. I took him to a fancy restaurant, and at the end of the night, I proposed. He said he needed time to think. I wish he'd broken up with me right then, but instead he had the nerve to drag our relationship out for 3 more months, while cheating with my stepsister. I was crushed by his rejection but stayed with him, hoping I could change his mind. We finally broke up when 3 months after my proposal, he admitted he was in love with her and wanted to be with her. Worse, he revealed she was 3 months pregnant, and it'd soon show. They planned to marry AS. I lost it and had a huge fight with her, but my parents stepped in and forbade me from bringing it up, worried a scandal would ruin the family's reputation. My stepdad was pretty well known, so I had no choice but to comply since I lived with them. Their wedding was small and simple, held in my parents' backyard with a few close friends and relatives. Then she moved in with him. I didn't go, of course, and spent the week before it in a cheap motel, drowning my stress with alcohol and food. A couple of weeks after their wedding, I had enough saved to rent my own place and moved out, but it didn't help my mental state. I sank into a deep depression, eating, drinking, and sleeping all day. I even quit my job because I couldn't get out of bed, but I still had one friend who cared, my current husband. We'd been close since high school, though I never saw him romantically because he was the class clown. After her wedding, I avoided friends for weeks, ignoring calls and texts, thinking they'd forget me, but he didn't. He was the only one who found out where I lived through my parents and showed up at my door. He took care of me, even when I was rude and distant, never leaving my side and helping me get back to normal. Heck, he even paid my bills when I had no money after quitting. I owe him my life and will always be grateful for everything he did. A few weeks later, I finally told him everything about my ex and stepsister. He comforted me. We never officially became a couple. He just moved in with me after a while, and that was that. We didn't need to talk about it, and even now we joke that he never asked me out. That's just how it happened. I decided it was time for the rest of the family to know the truth. I discussed my plan to expose her with my husband first, and he fully supported me. He said after everything I'd been through, it was fair to want everyone to know the real story. A couple of days ago, I invited the whole family to my house. I called my stepsister in the sweetest tone so she wouldn't suspect anything, and she agreed to come. When everyone was there, I started by bringing up her claim that I stole her wedding ideas. I reminded her she didn't even have a proper wedding, given the circumstances of her marriage. Some guests laughed awkwardly, some looked embarrassed, others just confused. But I kept going. I said if she was accusing me of taking her ideas, maybe I should tell them what she did to me, because she actually stole my boyfriend. That got gasps and shocked faces, especially from my parents and my ex, who turned bright red. I told the whole story, and the guests looked like they'd been served a juicy treat, gossip for a year. When I finished, there was dead silence for a full minute. Then my stepsister jumped up and ran out, her husband chasing after her. Slowly, everyone else left quietly. My parents were the last to go, furious, and demanded I apologize to her for humiliating her in front of so many people. I said no way, she'd tried to ruin my life multiple times and deserved it. My husband added that they had no right to demand an apology from me when they never made her apologize to me, especially since what she did was far worse. He also called them out for not even checking on how I handled the betrayal. It turned into an argument, and I told them if you're going to disrespect me and my husband, get out of my house. That was almost 4 days ago. I haven't spoken to any of them since. I know for sure the rest of the family is avoiding her now. She's struggling, she's a total extrovert and can't stand being ignored. Update: my mom's still mad at me and blames me for ruining her daughter's life. Seriously, that's exactly what she says to guilt trip me. For days, she's been texting me, demanding I tell the family I made it all up out of jealousy to get back at my stepsister. She also said my stepsister and her husband are upset over what I did and might cut ties with me completely. That's ridiculous. We only talk at family events where we fake politeness anyway. I only invited her to my wedding because mom forced me or it would have looked odd. I don't get why mom thinks I should apologize, but I decided to ignore her for a few days. It hurt that she took my stepsister's side, though honestly, I'm used to it. I told my husband everything and he thinks it's best to ignore her and let it go for now. That's what I'm doing. I'm done with them. Update 2. It's been 2 days since the last update, and I blocked them all. Only then did I realize how much this was weighing me down. Cutting those people out felt like a huge relief. I couldn't believe mom made me pretend for years that I got along with my stepsister, just so no one would judge her and my stepdad for their parenting fails. They couldn't raise her to be a decent person, yet I had to suffer for it. I blocked them all, thinking that was the end of it. But last night, mom showed up at my house. She looked disappointed, and I didn't know what to say. After nearly 5 minutes of awkward silence, she started explaining how my actions hurt the family. I cut her off, saying I don't have a family anymore. After she married my stepdad, it was clear she favored my stepsister. Everything she did was excused, while the same rules never applied to me. I told her how much she'd hurt me over the years and that I was done apologizing, or pretending. I'd had enough. She got upset and tried to explain that she distanced herself from me after divorcing my dad because I remind her too much of him. That's unfair. Sure, I look like him, but that's no reason to treat me like I'm not her daughter. I said I'd try to see her side but couldn't forgive her quickly, and needed time. Still, no matter how things go with her, I won't apologize to my stepsister or act sorry. I told her that straight up, and she left looking grim. What can you do? It's been a day since we talked. I unblocked her, but we haven't spoken. Update 3. A week's passed since that talk with mom, and she hasn't reached out. Guess she doesn't regret anything, and I'm fine with that. Honestly, I've accepted she'll always pick my stepsister. Nothing I say or do will change that, but my stepsister hasn't forgiven me for what I did, and started trashing me to all the relatives. She claims her husband cheated because I was toxic and unstable, while she made him feel at ease. She says I pressured him into marriage when he wasn't ready, and it scared him off. None of it's true, but the family split on who to believe. She's a convincing liar, unlike me. One of my cousins keeps me updated on her latest lies about me. It's outrageous. She's trying to paint me as the liar when everyone knows what she's really like. I'm sure mom won't step in, and I won't ask her to. She'd never say a word to her precious daughter anyway, but I'm not letting this slide. If my stepsister can stoop so low, I can go even further. I blocked her on all social media, but luckily I know a lot of her coworkers and friends. I'm set on showing everyone who she truly is. It's petty and maybe harsh, but I'm glad I've stopped pretending I care about her, or her feelings. She never cared about mine. My husband thinks everything I'm doing, petty or spiteful as it may be, comes from justified anger. I've bottled up my rage and hurt over her for so long that it was bound to explode eventually, and he believes now's the perfect time since she's been pushing me to react for ages. So I decided to expose her for good. I wrote a post detailing everything she did to me, with proof. I had screenshots of my chats with my ex, and mocking messages she'd sent me over the years to show I wasn't lying. I posted it yesterday, and my phone's been blowing up with notifications. Tons of people are messaging me. To my surprise, it's not just family but her coworkers too. Some of her acquaintances even shared their own bad experiences with her. Turns out, at work, she flirts with every guy, married or not. On top of that, she treats other women like they're nothing, constantly bad-mouthing her so-called friends behind their backs. So far, I've learned she's a flirt, a gossip, and a backstabber, and the list keeps growing. She's furious I went public, and keeps trying to reach me. She's even made fake accounts to scare me into deleting the post. But I'm not fazed. The post's still up. I bet she's reported it, so Facebook might take it down eventually, but I'm not doing it myself. Mom's mad too, and keeps saying she expected me to handle this like a mature woman. She says I disappointed her and acted like a total fool. She also mentioned my stepdad's furious because my actions hurt his reputation with his friends. He demanded I publicly apologize and delete my posts, or they'll cut me out of their lives, meaning my inheritance goes to my stepsister. It's laughable they think threatening to disown me will work. I blocked them first, so clearly I don't care if he wants me around. I'll be a little bummed if Mom stops talking to me, but as I've said, I've accepted she doesn't love me like she loves her other daughter, and I'm okay with that. As for inheritance, I make enough money and so does my husband. We're not worried. Plus, when my dad died a few years ago, he left me way more than they have. So honestly, I'm not sweating the inheritance at all. Update 5. It's been 2 days since I posted, and holy cow, it's unleashed a Pandora's box. First off, my parents aren't talking to me. When I told Mom I wouldn't delete the post, she tried convincing me that losing my family wasn't worth it, and that revenge on my stepsister shouldn't be my life's sole focus. I reminded her I barely had a relationship with them anyway, so I was fine losing what little was left if it meant getting back at that monster. It sparked a fight, and she ended up blocking me everywhere too. Yesterday, I heard from relatives that my stepsister and her husband are getting divorced. I was totally confused what happened overnight. After some digging, my cousin told me one of her male coworkers who saw my post messaged her husband. He sent him screenshots of her flirting with him, despite the guy being married, which put him in an awkward spot. Clearly her husband didn't take it well. They fought and now they're divorcing. He filed and wants full custody of their son. It's sad for the kid, sure, but honestly, I'm glad they're finally facing consequences for everything they put me through. I've stepped back from it all, and figure she's learned her lesson. She's gone quiet since the post. It's wild how one decision to call her out ended up tanking her marriage, and maybe her bond with her son. But I don't feel guilty. She brought it on herself. From what I hear, she's moved back in with our parents, since her coworkers are judging her too. So she might have to quit soon. I'm relieved knowing I won't have to deal with her or her chaos anytime soon. To make sure I stay far away, my husband and I are going on our honeymoon this week. We're doing a Europe tour, and I'm beyond excited. I want to forget all this dramatic nonsense about my stepsister, parents, and family for a few weeks, and just live it up. Hopefully when I get back I'll feel freer without all this emotional baggage. Honestly, now that I've cut ties with my family, I feel so much lighter. That's where the story ends. Let me know in the comments what you think. I'm thrilled it wrapped up with a happy ending, as it should have. Not every story we tell ends happily, you know? I was shocked her coworkers ditched her after the truth came out. Though it makes sense, they're the ones who sent me extra proof. One action sparked a chain reaction, and it all snowballed. Thanks for sticking with this to the end. Check out our last video linked here, and take care.